Hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today to be able to discuss a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and I really do believe it is a cornerstone of a lot of what we do here at the university, so I'm excited to share with you. As you can see, my name is Kristi Wood-Turner, and I'm the director at the Center for Service and Learning. Really excited to talk to you today about exploring passion and purpose, the necessity of involvement, and how that looks and should look for us as Mountaineers and as alumni. The main thing I want to focus your frame on today as we're having this discussion is the opportunity for you to reflect on yourself. Often in times of a group, especially in the field that I'm in, we want to encourage a lot of dialogue with each other and a lot of community development. In this particular discussion that we're going to have today, however, I really want you to focus a lot more on yourself. So take the chance today to be a little reflective and even think of yourself as the priority in this speech. So all of the talk that we do in the discussions, put yourself in the center of that as we move forward, because I think that's how you'll get the most out of our discussion today. When we talk about exploring through involvement, I want to make sure we understand that that is a cyclical motion. There isn't any starting point or stopping point when it comes to the experience we each have in being engaged in the community and being involved with each other, right? Our passions change, our purpose changes, the involvement we need also adapts through time. So that is something that is continuously moving as we look forward to what we do. If you're not actively involved in getting what you want, you don't really want it, right? That's the question that we pose today. If we're not actively seeking what we need and what we want, do we really need and want those things, right? The concepts that we're going to lay out today are pretty vast and pretty broad, so I do want to make sure that I kind of clarify where I'm looking at this through, the lens I'm seeing it through. Passion, for example, is more than one often, right? We're not looking at one thing that we're committed to. This is often more than one. It is a strong and barely controllable emotion, something that has boundless enthusiasm for you, an area in which you really want to explore and discover. That is your passion, right? Purpose is an object to which we strive, right? A subject that is currently under discussion. Another way I like to see it is an action in the course of execution. We're currently working towards our purpose. Involvement is a condition in which participating with something or someone is personal and emotional. So that commitment and connection you have to them is what we're considering involvement. Now, from my background, involvement to me, the first thing that stands out is volunteer work. We know that involvement can include many different various types of connections with people and things. I will talk about those as well, but most of this discussion today will focus around volunteer involvement. Passions change, as I mentioned. None of us in this room today can say that we have the exact same passion we had when we were 8, because none of us really want to be Power Rangers anymore, right? I also can claim that we likely won't have the exact same passion today in 20 years, 15, tomorrow. Our passions change. They change with who we are, what we see, and what we experience. And that's very important because involvement can either lead the change in passion or it can supplement your new passions and increase those kind of involvements. Purpose is time-bound. Right? Your purpose today is where you envision your goal, what your target might be. Once that is met, your target then changes and moves. That means your purpose changes and moves. The unique thing about involvement here is that it can be met, it can meet your purpose, or your purpose can actually be discovered through the different involvement you give yourself. Right? Involvement is constantly evolving. We're constantly moving through. It's always supportive, it's motivational, creative, enlightening. Involvement is the action in which we are becoming our new person. I love this picture, and I look at it often because it really does represent some stability even for me. I can see involvement in our lives very clearly as being the branches to these trees that you see in the picture, right? We connect ourselves out with people, with nonprofits, with small businesses, in town councils, on neighborhood associations. Those connections and those involvements that we have link us together with a community, our community. And then, in times of changing passion and purpose, we are still stable. So potentially, maybe you started out in a major as an undergrad that you thought you really wanted to be in. You thought you really enjoyed. And then all of a sudden, things are turned upside down when you realize that's not really what you want to do forever. If you have a foundation of involvement and commitment with a community, that can stabilize you through any changes that you might face in those life's purposes and missions. Really quickly, I just want to tell a story about reinvigorating your passion. Oftentimes, and I know from the folks in the room here, you can concur, we do volunteer work and we do service on a regular basis. It is something we believe is part of who we are. I want to make sure that we are always aware to check ourselves every now and then and never underestimate that power of helping people. In July, we had, unfortunately, our second round of major floods in West Virginia. Our staff was called upon to see if we can bring some folks to the Mannington area before the Mannington Fair was about to start. They had some real serious health concerns about the different areas, the park beside the Mannington Fairgrounds and the fairgrounds themselves. I put this silly picture up top here of me, not because I think it's intriguing to look at, but because if you notice behind my arms there, there's a blue bridge. That is the same blue bridge that you see in this picture. Everything around me in the picture above, including the truck, all of the equipment on the playground, all of that was completely underwater. This park was used by students on a regular basis. Kids were there playing every day, all the time. And this was a serious concern. What was on that equipment that those kids were getting into as they were playing, right? So our team came down. It was a really hot day. We did a lot of really hard work, but we had a lot of fun as well. The mayor came down and gave us a shout out to say thank you for coming. There were neighborhood community members coming up saying, wow, thank you for coming down here from Morgantown. Every smile, every thank you increased our kind of value in ourselves as we did this work. We started to feel the appreciation. As we were turning around, leaving and boarding our bus, 7 kids ran down the hill out of the neighborhood and jumped right on those monkey bars. We were so excited. On the way home, all I could do was reflect on, why does this experience stand out in my mind? Maybe it's because I took a minute to reflect. Right? I had that time. So even if you are somebody who volunteers regularly, and you know that that's part of life and you do it on a regular basis, make sure the next time you are volunteering, you stop for a minute to reimagine the reason, right? Remember your motivation. Stop and feel all of those great benefits we get from volunteering that sometimes we do so automatically that we don't take recognition for. We need to make sure we do that. As I was exploring how I would address different ways of involvement can benefit us here at WVU, I tried to narrow it down so that I could focus on a little bit more, because the field of involvement in general really has so many benefits for so many people. So I wanted to narrow that down, and the 3 areas that I chose that I feel are most beneficial to us as students, as alumni, faculty, and staff, are those of wellness, career advancement, and just meeting life lessons, right? So those are the 3 areas I'm going to talk to you about really quickly. The first one is that of wellness. How does being involved help with your overall wellness? You know, we're a state that really struggles in areas of wellness, so we're always constantly looking for ways to get better, to get healthier, to move, to eat right. We need to always remember that being involved and connected is a proven way to enhance the wellness of those around us. The happiness effect. Right? Sounds happy, the happiness effect. Some researchers in the London School of Economics found that the more people volunteered, the happier they were, right? Amazing, simple. Connection to others is one of those reasons, right? We need to connect with people, right? That's who we are. We like to see what's going on. We like to connect with people, talk to them. Connectedness affects things like stress, anxiety, anger. All of those things. When you're working with other people, that you are relieved of that pressure, right? Fun and fulfillment. When volunteering for fun and enjoyment, you laugh, you care, you share. You thank others and others thank you. Those kind of emotions are euphoric for people and really do make you more happy. Physical and mental health is also impacted by involvement in your community, right? Staying active, especially as we get up there in the years. Even today, yes, it's okay every now and then when the new season comes out to binge something on Netflix for the weekend, but let's not take it too far. Let's get back up. Let's get active again, right? We need to know that there's somebody who needs us to keep moving. That is important for our health. Healthy hearts, healthy blood pressure, healthy minds, knowing that you have a purpose and a reason, that somebody needs you in the community, really does give you that motivation to move forward. Increases self-confidence, that natural sense of accomplishment from doing something good, right? I completed it. Here was the project. I could see it. I finished it, and now I can see it done. That is a natural, euphoric sense of accomplishment. You stand a little taller when these things happen. That is a great wellness benefit. Also a sense of purpose, finding new meaning and direction by helping others. If maybe you're at a point where, I just don't know what my purpose is. I don't know where I'm headed. Go out and find somebody and help them find theirs. In the process of helping someone else find their purpose, you'll discover yours, right? Those things are very important. One interesting fella I ran across as I was looking at wellness and volunteering was John from Vermont. He worked at Dartmouth Hitchcock Hospital as a volunteer. But the way he got there is what I was really intrigued by. His wife wasn't feeling well and had some concerns early on. And that's a very anxiety-inducing and stressful time for the couple. And as they would pull in every day to the hospital for the various appointments that they had to have, there would be an escort that would come out and open the door and walk them back into their room, constantly smiling, constantly reassuring. This was something that stood out in John's mind. He never forgot that. Even though the anxiety was tense, he was really worried. That one smile, that one handshake really meant something to him, right? In that, he realized that as soon as he was able to, as soon as he retired, he wanted to give back. So in his retirement, he then became himself one of these hospital escorts. And I like when he says here, I feel like I get more out of escorting than the patients do. Helping them is a great feeling, right? So he has taken that feeling with him that's relieved his anxieties, and now he's passing that on to others. There's no other better concept of wellness than that. All right, so let's talk a little bit then on a different page and how involvement might then address some of your career advancement issues, right? We always are looking for ways to become more career-wise, to have a better understanding of who we are in terms of our skills and our abilities, and where we want to go in our career. Involvement is a critical key to this movement. First, you must confirm career direction, or maybe you potentially want to find a new direction through involvement. Being involved in local organizations, on town councils, on committees, those things can help you address different unique nuances in career that you didn't even know existed. Right? Maybe potentially you're a nutrition student who has a passion for animals, right? And you like animals, you have 3 dogs, you have a cat at home, you enjoy that, but your study is really human nutrition. So you're really confused on how that works. So maybe you go out and get involved with the Humane Society, with one of our rescue groups. And as you're involved with them and working through some of their needs, you start to realize that there is a really big concern in our community about health, how healthy our stray animals are on the street because of the scraps they may be eating or their poor lack of veterinary care, right? That is an area that you now have a skill in with your nutrition background that you can help our community with. You start to see those connections, right? You build and form your own career. I heard recently that anyone born in the last month, by the time they are career ready, there are going to be 70% new careers that we don't even know exist yet, right? Imagine that. So if we're not apt with the skills to be able to go out into the community and design our path and see where our skills meet the needs of the community, we're going to miss some of those opportunities to find those key careers that we need to move into. Teamwork and communication skills, also a really critical need. Nobody argues that one. I will say there's probably not a better way to learn teamwork skills than being on a board at a nonprofit, right? Lots of really great minds, lots of really great leaders, all in one room trying to make one mission work. Really great ways to build that team. We're really good these days in classes of putting students in team to learn these skills. But in the real world, when you're involved in it without the connection to the teaching facilities, it gives you a new meaning, right? It helps you communicate. Interaction with diverse audiences. You need to know how to talk to everyone, right? Not only those that are in the same field as you, not only those that are in higher ed, but you need to talk to all different kinds of people, maybe the clients at a nonprofit, as well as the leaders, our community officials who need to make the policies, to make the changes you need in the community. These are all really great skills that not only will you take in, but you'll be able to talk about in interviews, that your coaches and the people in your career life will see these skills in you. The really cool thing about problem solving in the real world is that you actually get to see the result, right? Not only are you using these skills and learning how you can work with others in nonprofits, but you're actually learning about yourself and what this problem looks like to you. And if your perspective can actually work, right? You're giving those chances, those experiences, a chance to really blossom in the community and really give yourself the courage to take those risks. Confidence to try those newfound skills now at work. Right? If you're out and doing some work in the community and somebody asks you, hey, can you do the auditing for this, certain account? And you're like, well, I don't really do math, but yeah, let me help, that's a need. And you work through it and you work with them and you learn. It takes some time, but you understand the skill now. You go back into the office, into your actual career. The next time your boss says, hey, anybody on the team willing to work on the accounting? Your hand automatically goes up now. Why? Because you have the confidence in a skill that you learned in the community to bring back into your job, which gives you more opportunities in that very job, more pathways to excel. Networking, professional organizations, internships, you must know people in your field, right? In order to move up, you must understand the lingo, you must understand who is the heavy hitters in the field you're in. You need to know what organizations you should be a part of, right? You find those things out by being with those who already are in the field, right? Do that by joining in. Go to a fundraiser where you know there'll be people of the same career path at that fundraiser, and then talk to them. Hi, I'm just a junior in the field, but I'm wondering what kind of conferences do you go to during the year, right? And you start to build up your portfolio of knowledge. You start to speak the language they're speaking. So in the interview you have next week for the job, and he hears you speaking the same lingo and talking about a conference you want to go to next year, all of a sudden you're set above everyone else in that field, right? All of that comes from just reaching out and being involved, just asking folks if they could give you that advice. Experience versus different various leadership styles. Could not tell you how important this one is, right? You are going to have many bosses in your lifetime. They are all going to be uniquely different, right? Which means you're going to need to communicate with them differently. They are going to communicate with you differently. The more you experience different leaders in the community, the more you start to become an expert of how to interpret leadership, right? And once you're able to interpret that leadership and understand the way they like to know, you then can move into any position that you're offered in your career and make those same wise choices of how to communicate with your leadership. Right? All of that is skill and talent building that you can't get anywhere else than experiencing it yourself. Also, you need to build your brand, right? Let's not forget. Remember I said at the beginning of this presentation, you're supposed to be a little selfish today and reflect on yourself. This is your chance to get out there and shake some hands with some people who are doing what you want to do, right? Let them know who you are and just how excited and how motivated you are to do really good work in the field. Let them know your name. Provide them with some sample pieces if you're a graphic designer. Provide them with a report if you're into journalism. Talk to them a little bit about some creative ideas you have for the future down the road in their company, right? These are things that you need to attach your name to early on, and folks in the community, they're listening. This is the time. One great example of putting your name out and making your brand and never giving up is Xerox CEO Ursula Burns. Ursula started out as an intern years ago. Years later, she became the first black woman to head a Fortune 500 company. The amazing thing I see here about Ursula as I was reading her story is she was raised by a single parent in some really rough times in her life. But her mother said to her, she said, "Where you are is not who you are." That really stuck with her. She knew she had to take the extra step, that her future was in her hands, that she needed to make the way that she was going to go. So she began this internship, not to mention she was at Columbia doing a grad program. But she made this internship for herself. And in the internship, she didn't do just what was required. She went above and beyond every day. I want to learn that. I see what you're using that machine over there. What is that? Can I learn that? Oh, you mind if I take this upstairs? I wouldn't mind running and meeting him. Right? Do that extra step. That extra step built her and built her brand. In 2009, she was named CEO of the company. Right? Great things can come out of being involved in yourself and in your career. Now let's talk about the life lessons that happen through involvement. And these are some big ones. Sometimes we forget that these are happening. They happen kind of on the side, or maybe we shrug them off. But these are really critical lessons, and your parents will agree. We want everyone to learn these, and involvement is one of the best ways. This one being my favorite in particular. Opportunities to fail and get back up. No one makes it to success without failing. No one. You're going to take some missteps, but those are very positive moments in your life because that is the time that you are going to learn about what it is in you and what it is in others that needs to be there for you to succeed. The amazing thing about this community, especially the one we're in here, they are so willing to pick you back up. Right? They are here for you. Oh, I'm glad you tried that. That was a really nice try, but here's what happens. Here's the reality of the clientele in this agency. Right? So let's try it this way next time. Oh, okay, I get it. All those experiences bring you closer to success. Well, we all know about the kid who ran to his room crying and locked himself in there for 2 days because he didn't make the junior high basketball team. Right, Blake? No, it wasn't Blake. It was actually Michael Jordan, right? So Michael Jordan didn't even make the basketball team in junior high. We all have opportunities to learn and grow. All right? Also, appreciation of diversity, very important to us, especially this day and age, folks. We need to understand, and not just racial diversity, not just gender and sexual orientation, but actual class diversity as well. If you are a student at the university and you cannot tell me how many homeless you think we have in Morgantown, I'd love to talk to you because I'd like you to experience that a little bit with me. We have a lot of students who like to walk down High Street. It's a beautiful street. We walk down. There's nice little boutiques off to the side, great different kind of ethnic food that we can try. But students get to the bottom of High Street there right before they see the courthouse, and they turn around and come back up, right? They turn around and come back up. What has happened if you know what's beyond that street? What has happened is if they would have just paused for a moment and looked to their left, they would have seen places like Christian Help or the United Way, where we're serving hundreds of community members a day, food and clothing for work and career, right? If they'd have peeked down to their right just a little bit, they would have seen the Salvation Army or the Bartlett House, our homeless shelter in town. Salvation Army giving hot meals 4 days a week to those in need, right? There is so much more to a community to learn than just what we see that we present to you, right, in our public forum. So we want to take that opportunity to learn about diversity and cherish and respect the fact that we get the opportunity to learn about different people, that we're not all the same. We have all of these amazing, unique differences, and they're so interesting and intriguing. We get a chance to share those with each other through involvement. Responding versus reacting. Okay? Another one that seems kind of interesting, but I tell you what, will be one of the leading things in your career that will advance you forward. If you can manage your emotional intelligence, you've already halfway won the game, right? It is a difficult thing to do. But when something comes at you very quickly, your instinct is to react. Oh no, go do that, or oh no, do this. The right answer is to reflect and respond. And that's not as easy as it sounds. But it does come easier with practice. Being in the community, watching our experts who deal with high stakes, high impact events all the time can teach you a little bit about how to stay calm, how to take a reflection and say, okay, I know that they're saying, they're hungry, they haven't eaten for a while, they need some help. I understand it. Let's step back for a minute. Let's think about how can we best help them long term? What's the sustainability of this? If we help them today, where do they go tomorrow? Let's think about those things. And you start to get a perspective a little bit more unique than what you might have found in your career or your student life, right? I start to learn that empathy and the emotional intelligence of hold up, wait, and then respond, right? That's very important. Also, happiness does not always equal more money, folks. It just doesn't, right? You can be just as happy making less than your dream job. Your purpose may be what you think you need to make in terms of money. Your happiness may tell you something different. Being out in the community, being on a board, working with these nonprofits, you will start to see the happiness that these folks have. Yes, they're stressed. Yes, they worry, but yes, you will see a smile while you're working with them. Guaranteed. It doesn't matter the stress and the work that they're doing that day, they leave with a smile because this is their passion. It's the work they love to do, right? So money is not everything for us. Others share your same passion and drive. They're out there, right? You might think, no, I'm really unique in this. I have a very unique sense of who I am. That's not the case, actually. There are other like-minded individuals that together you all can move. Right? You want to be around those. That old adage your parents used to tell you that, you're going to end up like your friends. You can't hang out with those friends. You're going to end up like your friends. What's true, folks? You're going to end up like your friends. Those folks that you are around in your circles, that's who you will move with. Find those who have the passion you have. Find those who have the purpose and the drive that you have, and you will move with them together. Finally, if you're curious and you wonder why, about anything, you can find out, right? No longer running to Google and checking it out. Oh, I want to know why. No, let's not do that anymore. If you're curious and you want to know something, run to a nonprofit and ask them why, right? Run to a small business and ask them why, right? Get out there and ask the people who are doing this every day as their life, their career, and ask them the questions why. There's nothing you can't find out in this community if you want to know. Dylan is a good example of this. Right? So she is a volunteer off a volunteer match and has done lots of work. This is just only a piece of her very extensive blog of all the work that she does. But I found this one to be really interesting. In fact, it stood out to me because of the situation of homeless in Morgantown and how unique I feel like we are as a community. She said that when she was volunteering, although she'd volunteered many places, in this particular instance, she was reminded of something. And she was reminded of the fact that the statistics we hear about homeless are actually people. So the statistics are people, right? So we could forget that every now and then, right? Also, she goes on to say every human, every family deserves a place to call home, a place to grow up, and a place to feel safe and comfortable that you normally wouldn't follow. Follow another famous star that's giving some kind of political activist speech that you've never really thought to listen to before. Right? Check those things out and make sure that you are following your passion with integrity, but getting all perspectives. Right? That's how you're going to make the most impact. Practice what you preach, folks. If you're going to say it and you're going to do it, then you need to do it. Right? If you are standing for something, you need to be standing for that thing. You need to show people that that's what you do. Right? Practice what it is that you're preaching. Be visibly active. Be visibly active. Not just at home on the computer doing your things. That's great. But also then step out and show those people who might be just a little bit more fearful than you to take that next step and get out in front of people. Right? Show them that it's okay. Step out. Show them you're taking charge. Right? They're going to follow that lead. Self-work is key. It's key in everything that we do in life, but it's especially key when you're trying to be active about a passion or a cause. Always know that you need work. Right? In fact, the older we get, the more we need a lot of work. Right? There's so much more to fine-tune. Right? It is important to always carry that with you. Know that growth is necessary. You can always expand your vision. You can always change your mind. That is okay. Because you're going out there and you're researching and you're looking for what your truth might be. All right. So don't let the starting stop you. This is a really important point as we move into how do we get this done. Don't let the starting stop you. Some people get really nervous and they think, okay, I've been thinking about myself this whole time, like she said, and yeah, I think I do have some passions that I'd like to try out, and I might do, but where do I go? How do I start? And some people that scares them away. Don't let that happen to you. Let's take a few steps here that we can kind of reflect on as we're moving toward how do we get involved personally. The first one would be reflect on what you need and what you can give. If you reflect on your needs and your abilities and strengths to give, you are going to start to see an amazing list come together. And yes, list it out. It is okay to put your needs on paper. I have to remind students of that all the time. It's not always about what you're giving. Sometimes it is about what you're gaining, right? Write those down on a list, what you need and what you can give. And then I want you to turn the page and I want you to write down your community's needs. If you don't know what they are, you need to ask. Right? Ask someone. Ask a United Way, a local nonprofit. Find out what the community need is where you're at. And then think a little deeper and say, what can that community now give me? What do they have to give? There are lots of things they can give you, right? Make that list. Then you take your two lists and you start to cross-reference and see where they connect. Your needs, your skills are going to match some of the community needs and skills as well. Right? That's where you start to see those beautiful partnerships that are really going to expand into who you are. So take this time to actually physically make those lists. Reflect on your needs and reflect on your community needs. After you do that, build your connection bridge. Once you have those connections, you will have a set of 3 to 5 different areas that you need to find involvement in. Okay? Maybe that'll lead you to actually being on a nonprofit board. And you need to come to the center and say, look, I need to find out what nonprofits need a board member, because that's one of the skills I need and it's one of the things I can give, right? Once you do that, you need to find the resources where these knowledges are, where all this knowledge is held. And I'm going to talk to you in a minute about where those places are, right? Your opinions are critically important, even if your opinions aren't mine, right? They're critically important. You are a unique individual with a perspective that is going to move our community forward. And if we don't get to hear about it, if you don't get to share that, then you are not doing your duty for us as a community. We need you. We need your voice in involvement. Now, what can you do? So what are the possibilities? Well, my goodness, I couldn't fit them all on a slide. And as I started to, the font kept getting littler and littler, right? You can do anything you want. There are so many needs in the community, ways to use your strengths and talents and passions that really do benefit the community that's just waiting for those strengths and needs and talents, right? You could cuddle kittens, pet puppies. Who wouldn't want to do that? Teach kids about road safety, build a robot. You can critique and edit a paper for a new author. Maybe you could design a logo for a small startup business. It's all out there and it's all possible. So whatever is on your list of needs and skills, that is there for you. Then imagine at the same note that we have experts in all of those areas that have dedicated their life to this field. Graphic design, nonprofit management, animal nutrition and health, right? Find those people in your community and ask them to mentor you and guide you to where you need to go. Right? We need to start using each other's strengths and not seeing the weaknesses, but looking for the specific strengths that complement each other. And that's how we move forward as a community. Really briefly, and I know this font is kind of small for you all to read, but I do want to touch on the fact that the things that I'm telling you about today and the pieces that I've touched on very briefly are nowhere near the end of the line for social change. In fact, if you look at the social change wheel that we have here, you're going to start to see even more creative ways to be involved and to join into a community, right? We've looked at a little bit of direct service. We love direct service, really that hands-on help. We've looked at a lot of community organizing. We looked at political activism, personal behavior, things that you need to do and share with others, community education, advocacy, capacity building. All these things are needs when it comes to changing a social setting. And right now, this wouldn't be that bad of a thing to do, right? Get out there and get involved. Find your piece of the wheel that really speaks to you and then move forward in both a reciprocal relationship where you are benefiting and your community's benefiting at the same time. Finding your connecting resources is really important because that could stop a lot of people as well. Great, I know what I want to do. Now, where do I find this kind of information, right? You guys are really lucky being in the area that we're in, right? We have a lot of things set up and designed and ready for you. Number one, the beautiful Alumni Center, right? Join the alumni. Join it early, right? The benefits in being connected through our Alumni Association are thousands and thousands fold, literally. There are that many alumni ready to help you and to experience some work with you, right? So join the WVU Connect. We've got volunteering on local boards. This is a desperate need. If you check out our website right now, we have nonprofits currently seeking board members. They love to have a student voice, a recent graduate's voice, a staff or faculty member's voice on their board. More perspective gives more opportunity for that nonprofit, right? It's a great chance to lead in an area with other leaders and really learn from them. We read our local papers and our town websites, right? Make sure you're up to date on what's currently happening. And maybe not only what's currently happening, but what people are talking about, right? We need to know what they're talking about. We need to know what the in thing is, what the new thing is, right? And be wary. Be wary as you age like I am, that you don't catch the fads on social media. I was recently told the other day I can no longer say major key alert or be ready because I guess DJ Khaled is no longer popular. But, you know, so be it. Try to find out what's happening today, know what's going on in your community, know how to speak the language of need here in the community. Social media is a great place. Again, be a little leery of what you're guided towards in social media, but use it to your benefit. If you're from Mon and Preston County, I hear the rumor mill is the place to be. Find out what's happening in your community, find out where the need is. It's a great place to start. Attending sporting events in your community is also great. Shake some hands. You've got some great families that come to those events. Shake some hands, meet some people, see who's sponsoring the events, kind of get a feel of where you're at. Continuing ed opportunities, never stop learning, folks. Never stop learning. If there's a continuing ed opportunity in your community, take somebody up on that chance to learn, no matter what the topic. Job shadowing or offering consultancy to a small startup business. Maybe you've done this before or you're really good at a certain skill. Offer that up to a small struggling business in your community. Maybe you've seen a flyer and their logo was made on Word. That's okay. You can go in and help them look at something maybe a little bit better and design that with your talents and your skills. You never know what they'll offer in return, right? Also supporting your local schools and after-school programs. Make sure we remember the kids out there need to have this kind of an experience early on. You need to get out there in front of them and show them what it's like to be involved and to give back, right? Go into your high schools. The high schools will allow different people to come in and talk about unique opportunities that they've had or skills or specific disciplinary stuff. The more opportunities we give our kids now, the more they're going to look for when they're older, right? Also, iserve.wvu.edu if you're a mountaineer in any form, shape, or fashion. If you're an alumni, a student, a staff, a faculty, you could go on iserve.wvu.edu and you could check out all the volunteer opportunities and learn more about our community nonprofit agencies. MyAmericorps.gov is another great place to do year-long service if you are interested in really dedicating a little bit more time, either in capacity building or direct service. AmeriCorps is an amazing way to go. Peace Corps also, so there's lots of options for national service. Also, you can look at the United Way here locally. They also collect a lot of volunteer opportunities and can give you the scoop on what's going on here locally. Now, you need to make the most of your time while you're out there. Time is the one thing that we all have in common. It's very precious. We only have a little bit, folks. In fact, I think I've wasted a lot of yours today. No, hopefully that's not the case. But we do only have a little bit of time. So when we do get an opportunity, like the ones that you will have here in this community, make the most of that time, right? Ask questions. Don't just go and do the activity they assigned. Ask them questions. Why are we doing this? How many people do you usually have come in here? Is it a struggle to get some of this done? Right? Ask those questions. Research the agency before you go in. You should already know about this agency before you show up on their door, right? You should already know what they do, how many people they serve, those kind of things, right? That gives you a better foundation while you're there to know what you're doing, right? Expect to be flexible. Expect to be flexible. We ask our nonprofit leaders in this community to do a lot with a little, right? And so we need to be the ones that are respectful of their time and be flexible. Prepare to work hard. folks. We don't just go, this is not an easy way to check a box or to add to a resume. That's not what it is anymore. We are people helping people and learning and gaining from each other. We need to expect to work. The same that you would expect to work in a class to get an A, you need to go into a nonprofit and expect to work to get the experience you want to have, right? Part of it's on you. So part of that's on you. Take the time to try a new method or a process. Maybe there's something you were thinking about, you had it in class, this concept, and you're not really sure that works, but you want to go out to a nonprofit and maybe work with that a little bit and see if it works. Try out those processes. Tell them you're going to try something new. Yeah, I know this is the way you've done it for 10 years, but let's try it this way, right? Now's your chance. Remember that failing thing? Now's the time, right? Check it out. See what other successes could be out there. Talk to others, talk to the clients, the coworkers, the kids. Say hi, smile, get some of that health and wellness benefit from your time there, right? Feel that euphoric happiness from just giving back, right? Have fun, share your passion, right? Excitement, it's contagious. I know it is, right? I see it, I feel it from students all the time. You can walk into a nonprofit and know where the excitement lies. Be that excitement for the other people in the community. Right? Be that excitement for yourself. Show others that this is something we want to do because we want to have a better community, right? We want to be better together. Remember, the trophy is earned at practice. You just pick it up at the game, right? You earn your trophy at practice. There's not one team that has won a championship that didn't earn it during their practice, right? That's the same thing with your skills right now. You are learning and earning those trophies, those careers, those advances in your career. You're earning them now through the involvement that you're in. Taking a lead in a student organization, creating your own student organization, getting a group of students together that are like-minded to just discuss the political climate. Talking to students about diversity and the critical nature of how we must understand each other and our differences, right? Those are all ways that you're earning your trophy. So continue to spread that kind of wealth of knowledge. Tell me and I forget, right? Teach me and I will learn, remember. But if you involve me, I will learn, right? Ben Franklin. We always like to use that, especially in our office. That is so true. All of these things can be done, but when you experience it, it becomes part of who you are. And that's what we're trying to do, especially at West Virginia University, is create mountaineers who, when they leave here, continue to take the spirit of cultural engagement and service with them into the communities that they become a part of, right? We are mountaineers who learn through service. We like the involvement, we know it helps us, but we know it helps our community grow.